The North Sea. For centuries, its name has been a byword for danger among mariners. A vast, unforgiving expanse of cold water, a turbulent barrier between nations known for its treacherous storms. But its true nature is far stranger than its stormy reputation suggests. Beneath its churning gray surface, it holds a truly astonishing secret, a memory etched into the very bedrock of the planet. It guards an entire lost world, a landscape swallowed by the waves, a country erased from the map of Europe. This is not a myth or a legend whispered by sailors on a dark watch. It is a tangible place, its existence confirmed by science, its story pieced together, fragment by painstaking fragment from the dark abyss. A world now known to geologists and archaeologists as Doggerland. The name comes from the Dogger Bank, a shallow sandbank long known to fishermen, but the reality it represents is infinitely more profound. It was the heartland of Mesolithic Europe. Forget any notion of a mythical Atlantis, lost to divine wrath. Doggerland was a real, living landscape, breathing with life. For thousands of years after the great ice sheets retreated, this was the vibrant, beating heart of a continent, a vast, low-lying plain, crisscrossed by rivers and dotted with lakes that physically connected the island we now call Great Britain to the landmass of modern-day Denmark, Germany, and the Netherlands. It was the highway of the ancient world. It was a mosaic of environments. There were gentle, rolling hills cloaked in nascent forests of birch and pine. There were sprawling, misty marshlands, a paradise for waterfowl and a vital resource for the people who lived here. Great lazy rivers, wider and more powerful than any in Britain today, meandered across the plains, their estuaries forming a rich and complex coastline teeming with fish, seals, and seabirds. This was a world of immense biological richness, a true Serengeti of the north, where the air was filled with the cries of birds and the ground shook with the movement of giant herds. And it was populated. Mesolithic hunter-gatherers, our direct ancestors, once roamed here. These were not primitive, brutish people. They were anatomically and cognitively modern humans just like us. They were sophisticated and highly adapted, possessing an intimate knowledge of this land that we are only just beginning to rediscover. They understood the seasonal migrations of animals, the properties of plants for food and medicine, and the complex rhythms of the rivers and tides. They likely had rich social lives and stories to explain their world. Their camps were likely seasonal, moving from the river valleys in winter to the higher ground in summer. They crafted exquisite tools from flint, bone, and antler, barbed points for their spears so effective they are still objects of deadly beauty. They hunted the abundant game that thrived on the plains. They hunted aurochs, the formidable wild ancestors of modern cattle, and pursued vast herds of red deer and wild boar. And in the earlier millennia, their ancestors had even hunted the last of the great mammoths across this very plain. This was their larder, their home, their entire universe. A land bridge not just for animals but for people, ideas, and culture. But this world was living on borrowed time. The same colossal force that had created Doggerland was destined to destroy it. After the last ice age, the planet began to warm. The colossal ice sheets that had covered much of northern Europe and North America began to melt, releasing unfathomable volumes of water into the world's oceans, and the sea began to claim this land. At first, the change was almost imperceptibly slow, a creeping threat measured over lifetimes. For generations it would have been a subtle shift in their world. The coastline receded, the estuaries widened, and the winter storm surges reached a little further inland each year. Ancestral hunting grounds became tidal flats. Sacred sites were lost to the waves. Slowly, relentlessly, the water crept in. The people of Doggerland would have adapted, retreating to the shrinking high ground. Their vast plain became an archipelago, a collection of large islands separated by dangerous tidal channels. But then, the slow retreat became a terrifying rout. Around 8,200 years ago, a truly cataclysmic event occurred. Off the coast of modern-day Norway, a vast section of the continental shelf, an area the size of Iceland, collapsed into the abyss. This was the Storegga slide, one of the largest landslides in known history. It triggered a mega tsunami. A colossal wall of water, perhaps over 20 meters high in places, raced outwards across the North Sea basin at the speed of a modern jetliner. For the remaining inhabitants of Doggerland, living on what were now low-lying islands, it would have been an unimaginable apocalypse. A sudden roar from the horizon, followed by a wave that blotted out the sky. It would have scoured the land, wiping out entire communities with almost no warning, a devastating final blow to this already beleaguered population. And still, the ice melted. The final act was driven by a period of accelerated sea level rise known to scientists as Meltwater Pulse 1b, a cataclysmic rise that surged across the globe. The last vestiges of Doggerland's high ground were overwhelmed. By around 6000 BC, the process was complete. The heartland of Europe was gone, Doggerland was submerged, and Britain was finally, irrevocably, an island. An entire country with its hills, rivers, forests, and people was turned into the seabed we know today. Its memory was lost to history, preserved only in the cold, dark silence of the seafloor. For millennia, the story ended there. But in the 20th century, the sea began to give up its secrets. Modern fishermen using powerful beam trawlers that scraped the seabed started hauling up more than just fish. Mammoth bones stained black by the seabed, tangled in their nets, began to appear. The fossilized remains of aurochs, giant deer, and other extinct megafauna surfaced from the deep. And most evocative of all, they found the tools of the people who had lived there. Ancient harpoons, flint blades, and axes, so perfectly preserved in the oxygen-free sediment they looked as if dropped only yesterday. Imagine the astonishment of holding a tool crafted by a human hand 10,000 years ago, dripping with the water that now covers their home. These were not random objects. They were ghosts of a drowned world. The idea of a drowned heartland, once a fringe theory, became an archaeological reality. The true breakthrough came from an unexpected source: the hunt for oil and gas. Seismic survey companies, mapping the seafloor in minute detail, inadvertently mapped the lost world of Doggerland. Their data revealed the ghostly outlines of ancient river channels, lake systems, and coastlines, a hidden geography beneath the waves. This fact sets the stage for the North Sea's true character. It is a sea born from geological violence and profound climatic shifts. It is not a timeless feature of our planet, but a recent and aggressive creation. It is a body of water that conquered land itself. This history defines its personality. It is not a gentle, lapping ocean. Its relative shallowness makes its waves steep, chaotic, and exceptionally dangerous. It is possessive and dominant, constantly clawing at the land, shaping coastlines and human history with an indifferent power. The memory of Doggerland is a chilling reminder of this power. It is a testament to the fact that the world we inhabit is not permanent, that coastlines are not fixed lines on a map, but battlefronts in a constant war with the ocean. The sea can take, cover, and erase. The idea of a homeland, a center of culture and life, simply vanishing beneath the waves is profoundly unsettling, echoing our own modern anxieties about rising sea levels and a changing climate. It speaks to a power far beyond human control, a geological timescale against which our own lives are fleeting moments. The North Sea is geologically young but violently changeable. It does not rest. Its currents are a complex, swirling dance of Atlantic water, freshwater runoff, and tidal flows. Its tides are powerful, scouring the seabed and reshaping the sandbanks that are the ghost hills of Doggerland. The seafloor is a tapestry of these shifting sandbanks, but it is not uniform. Deep trenches like the Norwegian Trench, remnants of ancient glacial rivers cut through it. And scattered across this submarine landscape, buried in peat and silt, are the submerged remnants of plains and forests. the final silent witnesses to the world that was. The North Sea is not just a body of water, it is a graveyard and a museum holding the story of a lost Britain and a stark warning for our future.